So my dad grew up in a very, very, very tough kind of life. And in his mid-20s, he contracted tuberculosis. Tuberculosis is a disease that eats up your lungs, where you start coughing up blood, and eventually you die. It's terminal if not treated. And in Korea, in a third world nation, there wasn't very good medicine. Furthermore, even the medicine that was even if you could get a hold of medicine. And so my father was in the hospital for 6 months, slowly dying. The doctors were treating him, he was taking the medicine, but he continued to get worse and worse and worse. And he would sit in his bed and cough all day long for 6 months, and he was so sick of it. He would listen to the radio, and he would listen to the love songs. And in Korea, all the love songs are sad songs. So you can just sit there, lying in your bed, thinking, woe is me, and feeling pity, and being sad. And that's what he would listen to. That was the only joy he had for 6 months. And one day, as he was listening to the radio, he couldn't find any good love songs to listen to, so he kept flipping through the channels, and he came to this channel that was Christian. And the lady on the radio was saying, if you are sick and you want to be healed, believe in Jesus Christ. Come to Osamri Kiroe, Prayer Mountain. Prayer Mountain is run by the Assemblies of God in near Seoul, Korea, and it is run by the largest church in the world. It's by Pastor Paul Young Cho. And he has the largest church in the world, 700,000 member church. It's an entire city block in Seoul. All the surrounding apartments are rented by the church, and they have TV set up in every single room of every single apartment building around that. And people come, 700,000 people. They run this prayer mountain. My father heard about it on the radio and said, and my dad's a bulldog, he said, I'm going to go. I'm either going to die because I'm going to quit taking my medicine, I'm going to go to Prayer Mountain, and either I'm going to die and find out if God's real when I die, or he's going to heal me and I'm going to find out that he's real. Because if he's truly God, then he should be able to heal me. So my dad left the hospital, threw away his medicine, and went to Osamni Kiwoe, Prayer Mountain. And he was there for 3 days, and he fasted and prayed. Koreans are well known in the Christian community for the way that they fast and they pray. And that is the way that Koreans fast and pray is attributed for the reason that Christianity has seen such explosive growth in Korea. The way that you fast and pray as a Korean is that you completely fast, nothing except for water, for 3 days, and at 6 a.m., noon, and 6 p.m., there are 3 services a day for those 3 days. And that each service is an hour long. And so it's a total of 9 services. No, 8. And so the first day, my dad was fasting and praying, and a lady came to the mountain to start fasting and praying as well. And she was in the little hut, because on this mountain, there's these little steps, and you go into practically what looks like a cave. It's just a little shack. And you just stay in there the entire day, the entire night for 3 days and nights, and you fast and you pray. And my dad said this lady came to the hut next to him, and she was wailing for her husband to be healed so loud that it was distracting my dad that he couldn't pray for himself. All he could hear is this lady, Lord, heal my husband. And he started to get annoyed. He was starting to pray for this lady's husband. God, please heal her husband so she'll shut up. I can't pray for myself, she's so loud. So that went on for 2 days. 2 days of wailing. And you're trying to pray for yourself. And finally, the 3rd day comes along and he still hasn't really prayed for himself. And he goes, well, God, might as well start praying for myself. So the 3rd day, he began to pray for himself, ask God to heal him, and show that he was real. And then at the noon service, to finish the fast, the pastor for the noon service preached a message on the mountain. And my dad said it was a very boring sermon, very uninspiring. He was critiquing it the whole time. It didn't inspire him at all. But the pastor at the end of it said, if you believe that Jesus Christ can heal you, then raise your hand and accept your healing in faith. And my father, with that bulldog tendency, said, okay, I sign up. I raise my hand, I'm healed. That's what the pastor said. My dad said he never felt anything. He never felt any sensation like some people feel when God heals them. He never heard anything. He never saw anything. He simply raised his hand and said, Lord, I accept my healing. And logical certainty that if God can create the universe, he can heal one little person. And my dad left Prayer Mountain that day. Still never felt anything. Went home, told Told his mom, my harmony, I've been healed. God healed me. And my grandma, shame on her for her faith not being strong enough, she looked at him like he was crazy. How do you know? Because I raised my hand. And she said, you are going back to the hospital. And she and him went back to the hospital. She was so concerned because he had not been taking his medication. And the doctors were concerned, and they go to him, and they say, what happened? He says, God healed me. They go, how do you know? He goes, I raised my hand. They say, no, we're taking an x-ray right now, you're getting back on medication. They take the x-ray, and when they looked at my dad's lungs, they couldn't even tell that they had been treating him for 6 months. Not a single mark on my father's lungs. And that is the power of Jesus Christ for all who believe. My dad then went to Bible college in Korea because he had decided that if God healed him, he had to tell the world about it. So he went to Bible college. And he then graduated and came to the United States to go to seminary, the Assembleia de Deus Theological Seminary, where I'll be starting in the fall. And while he was there, he met my mother. She was going to Evangel University. It's the AG undergrad college. And they got married and had 3 beautiful children. I'm one of them. And my dad pastored some Korean churches and then ended up joining the military as a chaplain. He's been in 19 years now. He's fixing to retire in the next couple of years. And this is actually his Bible, Chaplain Kwankyo, U.S. Army. And he gave this to me, and I keep it with me. And so in order to enter the United States Army, you can never have had a terminal illness. And if you have to have a waiver. It's very hard to get. Why would you take someone who's unhealthy when you could have someone that's healthy? There's plenty of people that want to join. So he actually didn't want to lie. So he just said, go ahead and do all the tests. I'm completely healthy. And they took x-rays, and they couldn't find anything either. But he tested positive for having had tuberculosis. And they said, have you had it? And so finally my dad said, yes, but God healed me. And they looked at his x-rays. You've had tuberculosis? No. So they went ahead and let him in. They don't believe him to this day, but he still has to get tested every year. The blood test. Because for most people, even if you've been healed of tuberculosis, it leaves scars on your lungs, like little circles, like little pock marks, like the surface of the moon, because the disease is eaten away at your lungs. And those little pock marks, even if they've been healed by conventional medicine, they can rupture at any moment, and the disease can spill out again, and you can have a recurrence, a resurgence of tuberculosis. So you have to get tested every single year for the rest of your life. Well, every time my dad goes in, my dad went ahead and goes ahead and tell him, hey, I've had tuberculosis, but I was healed. And they never believe it. They don't believe it. They say, okay, chaplain. But I know that's still been a witness, because when they look at that, they don't believe him because they can see there's nothing there. There's no sign you've ever had it. Now, in modern times, this was 30 years ago, now x-ray technology has improved, where now when my dad gets an x-ray, there's a very, very faint smudge. Doesn't look like TB. Doesn't really look like anything other than that. At some point in his past, he had some kind of lung infection. And that is the testimony that my dad had tuberculosis, was healed by God. It's a miracle, and it is available for all those who believe. Luke 11, 9 through 11 says, ask, and it will be given to you. Seek, and you will find. Knock, and the door will be opened. For everyone who asks receives. He who seeks finds, and to him who knocks, the door will be opened.